let's get into our top 5 list.
Let's do it.
We picked top 5 albums of 1997. You know, for me, I'm a junior in high school, 1997. So, I mean, pop music is huge.
I was a freshman.
At that point, hard rock, heavy metal was kind of, not doing so well at that point. You know, grunge was kind of still in the mix, but pop was big. R&B and hip hop were huge at that point.
Really taking off at that point.
And
probably
really,
one of the last successful albums from Mariah Carey with Butterfly was released in that year.
That's right. Then I will mention that.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll start.
Why don't you?
Okay. So this one I told Aaron was, interesting because usually I have maybe like 10 that I whittle down to the top 5, right? This 1997, I just kept writing and writing and writing. I had like 25 albums from 1997 that I had to get down to 5. So before I get into the top 5, let me do some of the honorable mentions first. And Aaron, you can tell me which ones you deem are respectable or absolute crap. Okay.
I will be honest.
One that didn't make my top 5, but, it's a great album, is Foo Fighters' Color and the Shape.
Wow. Okay.
It has My Hero. It has
Yes.
Everlong. I mean, that's sort of like their Born to Run, right? I mean, that's their Rumors.
It is a really great album. We're going to get more into that.
One we talked about a few weeks ago was Erykah Badu, Baduism.
That was a pick of the week.
On and on.
That went great
See
with
You Next Lifetime.
Raphael Sadiq Stone Rolling that week.
Huge.
Yeah.
Definitely Mariah Carey, Butterfly. I mean, I think it was so much hype and so much excitement around that you had the video and the music, the song Honey, produced by Sean Puffy Combs, and you had Breakdown with Bone Thugs and Harmony, and it was just it was a good album. I'll admit.
Solid.
Deftones came out with an album called Around the Fur in 97. Unbelievable. You got to check that out. You'll love it. Velvet Rope, Janet Jackson. But let me tell you this. There's one song on that album that is so great and overlooked. It was released as a song called Go Deep. Just check that out on YouTube.
All right.
Pause us for a second. Go listen to that. Come back because you will. It's just a great song.
No, why don't you not pause? Wait till the show's over, and then you can go listen to Janet Deep, whatever.
Metallica released Reload in 1997.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm surprised that's not a
the
top
older
list.
the older I get, I sort of appreciate that stuff a little more. Where at the time I did not like it. I'm sure this made Aaron's list. I'm just kidding. Genesis released an album called Calling All Stations in 1997. With a brand new singer in tow.
Yes.
Phil Collins had left the group, and I don't even know the guy's name. They got a new guy, and he sang on this album, and it probably sold 5 copies.
Tony Banks bought all 5.
And an honorable mention that didn't make my top 5. It was hard to do, but I just didn't want it. I just didn't want to be like such a fanboy of this particular genre and record label. But, P. Diddy and the Bad Boy Family, No Way Out was a huge album in 97. Can't Nobody Hold Me Down was huge. I mean, it was just a great album. Tupac's Machiavelli came out in 1997. Just love that album. I should have put that on my top 5, but I didn't. I just love the fact it's got the Nas disses, the Jay-Z disses, the Dre disses, big time Dr. Dre dissing on there, and even mentions the names of the perpetrators he believes shot him at the Quad Studios in 1994. Awesome album, man. Just guns blazing on that album. Love it. And then, another one that didn't make my top 5, but great overall album was Brian McKnight's Anytime. I just thought that was a great album. It had the title track was really good.
Nothing wrong with a Panty Dropper album.
Don't Waste Your Time, I think was one of the
Nothing
singles
wrong
on
with
there.
that. I got a great story that I'll tell you off the show because it's too funny.
Oh no!
About Brian McKnight, it involves It involves
I have them too.
It involves financial aid, 2 mistresses, Taco Bell, and an argument that would live on forever.
Oh my god! What? That's too much for me to comprehend. I got all right. Let me get into my list.
Yes,
for God's sake. All right, number 5, 1997. This one I love. I put on my top 5 because I love supergroups. I love collaborations. I love when all these famous guys get together in a group and they collaborate. So I don't know if Aaron remembers this one from 1997. It's an album from a supergroup entitled LSG. Levert, Sweat, Gill.
No. No.
Gerald Levert, Keith Sweat, and Johnny Gill came together to do an album. And it's fantastic. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. You know it's going to be a good album. But it had the single on it, My Body, which was huge. That got, it was played everywhere. Big hit single. But yeah, just had a lot of great songs on it. And I definitely recommend you check that out. And of course, it has like all the big time producers at the time, Jermaine Dupri and Sean Puffy Combs. Got everybody involved in it. It's great. Check it out.
Nice.
Number 4, I have to go with Mary J. Blige, Share My World. I just remember at the time I was getting into R&B more at that time in my age, and that was just a big album with a lot of great singles. It had I Can Love You. It had Love Is All We Need with Nas. It had Round and Round. It had It's On with R. Kelly. Just massive, like, big hit singles. And it was her first affiliation, like, kind of getting away from Sean Puffy Combs and getting more, I think the Trackmasters were more involved. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis produced some of the songs on the album, too. So, I don't know. That's a great album I love by her. Number 3, top albums of 1997. I put Fleetwood Mac, The Dance, because
that was my first. That was my first exposure to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah,
was
that's what I'm saying.
That live album from 1997.
I was 17 at the time, and I didn't know Fleetwood Mac. I mean, I kind of did. I mean, I knew Go Your Own Way. Yeah. I knew Rhiannon. I knew Don't Stop, but
and I would hear that on the radio driving with my old man too.
Yeah, but I didn't know like albums as a whole from them, and that sort of got me, and that got them back in the public eye again to really talk about Rumors again and talk about Tusk and learn about Mirage, Tango in the Night.
I was so young, and I remember I asked my dad, "This is like, how popular were they?" And he was like, "They were huge.
Yeah,
they were huge. I mean, you could not go into a car, turn on the radio, and not hear anything from them at one point. They were so big." And I remember the feeling of hearing The Chain that opens up that special, like, unplugged,
it was awesome,
electric MTV special they had. And I was just like covered in emotion. It was just amazing.
Yeah, all that stuff was great then. And that's why I hope Guns N' Roses gets back together and maybe they do something cool like on TV. Like, back then it was so cool. You had the Eagles, Hell Freezes Over. You had Kiss getting together with the original members for their Unplugged. You had Fleetwood Mac doing The Dance. All this stuff happening around the same time. And they were all capitalizing off of each other. but it made for fun.
It really did.
Made
for great television. Made for great television.
So, yeah, check out Fleetwood Mac, The Dance. Number 2, I love doing this. I love doing this because I love putting albums on the list that are not critically acclaimed, no one know about, but they're so good. And number 2 on my list is an album called Marching to Mars from Sammy Hagar.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. Sammy Hagar, whether you want to believe he quit or was fired from Van Halen in 1996, I'll let you decide what you think is the right story. That can still be argued about. But so Sammy Hagar now, he's not in Van Halen, has to go back to the drawing board, right? So, he's going to try his best to put out something that's really lucrative and just a really good body of work. And I think he did it with this album. Unfortunately, the times weren't really in his favor. I mean, there wasn't a lot of rock radio. There wasn't, like I said, hard rock and roll stuff was kind of not on top priority in 1997. So the album kind of just went away, and the record label it was on kind of folded pretty quick and didn't do as good as. But when you compare it to what Van Halen did, not too much later, where they put out Van Halen 3 with Gary Cherone, if you listen to them side by side, I guarantee the scales will tip heavily in the favor of Marching to Mars, Sammy Hagar. It's just a better album, a lot of great hooks on it, a lot of great playing, and a lot of guest appearances too. So I'd say go with that one. To me, like if that would have been the next Van Halen album, it probably would have carried them on, and they would have gotten a couple more hit singles. But they decided to go another route. But definitely check that out. Sammy Hagar, Marching to Mars. My number one.
Number one.
I mean, it's not obvious. Number one of 1997 has to be Life After Death, Notorious B.I.G. I mean, just because. I mean, I was just one of the, when I think of masterpiece hip hop albums, top of my head, I'm always going to think Straight Outta Compton, Takes a Nation of Millions, Public Enemy, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, probably Ready to Die, but also I had to put Life After Death. Will always probably make my top 5 hip hop albums of all time. It's funny, I played for Aaron. We were listening to vinyl the other night. I played him the actual sample, the song Sky's the Limit.
Yeah.
This guy named
nice.
Bobby Caldwell did a song called My Flame, and that's and that's where they sampled Sky's the Limit. So I just love that. And it's so cool to discover where they were getting these samples. Songs like Miss You and The World Is Filled. There's so many great songs on that album, and so much great production from the Bad Boy family and the Bad Boy team in putting together songs that just had great samples and just really smart and thought out. And it's really intelligent, actually, when you really break it down and read the booklet and read where all these samples came from. And it's just a masterpiece to me. So definitely... everybody knows a lot of the songs off the album, but listen to the ones. Do yourself a favor. I've done this many times, and skip over the ones that you know by heart, and really concentrate and listen to the ones that you don't know by heart. And
those usually for any artist are the best to go back, and that's why you like the album so much, is to listen to the ones that aren't the hits. It's the ones that you go back and you end up listening 10 times in the car before you go to work.